Hi, I'm Matt, here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are going to take a look back at a movie from 1983, National Lampoon's Vacation. It stars Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold, Beverly D'Angelo as his wife, Ellen, Randy Quaid as Cousin Eddie, Imogene Coca as Aunt Edna. It is directed by Harold Ramis of Ghostbusters fame, among other movies that he's directed and or wrote. And really, this whole plot is so simple. Clark Griswold is just a everyday, wait, no, not your everyday fool,
I'm not your ordinary everyday fool.
who wants to take his family on a vacation, and he wants to go on a road trip across America to get to Wally World. So he packs up his wife and two kids and away they go, and the plot just goes on from there. Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, when this movie came out, most critics actually really liked this movie. This was a very enjoyable movie for them. It would cost $50 million to make the movie, and it made $60 million in North America. This role of Clark Griswold for Chevy Chase is probably the role that he is most known for even today. The success of this movie speaks for itself. It led to three direct sequels and even had a soft reboot recently. Let's see, Randall, how do you think it is now?
So when I was rewatching this, I had a hard time with it. My personal view on it is that I understood that the filmmakers knew they were making a movie that wasn't necessarily politically correct, even at the time in 1983. But watching it now, I was like, oh man, I personally don't think this movie's aged very well. And really, there are scenes in here that bother me. I don't like the scene where they're in the wrong neighborhood. Like, and I get that it's kind of got like this iconic roll them up.
Roll them up.
The way the scene plays out with the theft of all of the, several car components, I don't think that that's aged particularly well. I don't think that the stereotypes have aged very well. And again, even if the filmmakers at the time knew that they were making fun of those stereotypes, I see that a modern moviegoer might not look at this like Blazing Saddles and know that it's crazy and out there and say, oh, wow, that part doesn't really work for me today.
Yeah, I see some of those movies of this. I think this is a movie that definitely has got to be adult kind of to watch this movie now. I definitely don't think like teens and stuff would watch this movie. It is stereotypes, and this movie is full of stereotypes too. A lot of the jokes are based around these stereotypes. They also make fun of the stereotypes. Clark Griswold, as Randall already said, is not your average everyday fool. He says that in the beginning of the movie, kind of thing. And he's going through this stuff, not very smart. And so he does play a lot into those stereotypes and stuff too. I think really the big problem we get with stereotypes is when movies continually to go on the same stereotypes. So I think if you watch this movie with other like diverse movies, this movie doesn't stand out, doesn't hold up very well too. But then again too, it doesn't give it a pass just for having the stereotypes that are played out in other movies too. And I think that's probably one of the bigger problems with this movie.
The fun thing about this film, though, like, it is still definitely a seminal American summer vacation, summer movie, which people do enjoy. They like going back and watching it, and they have this nostalgia for it. Um, I would challenge those people who love this movie for the nostalgia to try so hard to suppress the nostalgia that you look at it and you say, "Huh, is it really as good as I remember it being?" As I was rewatching it, one of the things that definitely stuck out to me was like this movie plays out much more like a series of SNL skits where it's like, here's a skit, next scene, here's a skit, next scene, here's a skit, more so than just like a continuous movie. Um, I I'm not gonna say that that's necessarily bad because Blues Brothers did a very similar thing, and really that came out very well. I love Blues Brothers. It's just done so differently in Vacation, and people have very fond memories of this film. I just guess I didn't watch it enough as a kid for the nostalgia to overpower the fact that I felt uncomfortable watching it.
Maybe I'm on the other side. I actually didn't feel too comfortable. Like, I saw the same things too. But another thing too is this movie also makes fun of everybody. There's no good person in this movie. I think another thing too. I mean, I still found a lot of these things humorous. There's still a lot of jokes that aren't just based on stereotypes in it too. And like I said, there's no one that's holding punches to. If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anything. So
Yeah, that's true. Now, for me, and it could vary depending on your views of it. For me, the best character is Aunt Edna, and I get that she dies in this film, and that sucks because it's just so sudden. It's just like, oh no, she's dead.
She's not fine, Clark. She's dead.
You're like, really? That's how you're gonna leave that? And and then they put her body on top of the car, and then they just leave her sitting outside in a rainstorm. I'm like, oh my god, this is absurd. But like Aunt Edna's character, when she gets her quips in, during the early middle part of the film, where she's like telling Randy Quaid, cousin Eddie, she's like, well, you better just ask Clark for the money because he's obviously not going to get the subtext that you're asking him.
Why don't you just ask him for the money, Eddie? You sure as hell can take a hint.
She's the straight character in this film to Clark's absolute fool of a character in this film. She's always willing to point out the ludicrous, while all these other characters are just pretty bad characters.
Mm-hmm. I think Ellen, for a lot of it, is supposed to be kind of like the conscious. She's supposed to be more, more the centered one. But then again, her character takes different parts too, where it's kind of like, nah, she's just as implicit in this family as everything. This movie's ridiculous. No way would you be able to take over Disney World with a gun or whatever, and then you're the good guy in the end. I mean, the whole movie is ridiculous. I don't think it's not meant to be taken seriously and stuff. But talking about favorite characters, my favorite character is actually Cousin Eddie. I just like Cousin Eddie, the stuff that he comes on, and I think Eddie is trying to be good-hearted, I guess, but it's just whether it's his upbringing or whatever, or the decisions he makes that aren't very good, he's always on kind of like on the down, and I think he's meant to show kind of like a contrast between him and Clark, with Clark living in like suburban Chicago or whatever, and Eddie's normally like losing his house, either to the bank, or where he's going to lose his house at the bank, or in other movies where, he's coming up in the RV, living in the RV.
Now, even Cousin Eddie and that whole family, though, like, this is someone, where Ellen's character has married a successful, I want to say rich, but, well-off, middle-class character. Her sister has married the complete opposite of that, and there's the stereotype of the poor and downtrodden just having 5 kids. Stereotype of that character. But I get what you're saying with Cousin Eddie. He himself is, he's just trying to do the best he can given the situation where he's in. So yeah, Cousin Eddie's fun in that scenario, but then you get that really awkward scene with his daughter where he's like, I'm going steady, and I French kiss.
So everybody does that.
Yeah, but Daddy says I'm the best at it.
Daddy. So that makes you kind of question too, is she talking about Eddie, or does she call her boyfriend Daddy? Maybe it's that too. But yeah, I agree. This movie's supposed to make you uncomfortable with some of these parts.
I don't know, and I'll admit I laughed at that, but I laughed at it uncomfortably, not necessarily enjoyably. Where I was like, oh my god, really? God. So I don't know. It's definitely hit and miss for me, and I'm not sure it's aged particularly well, but room for other people to think differently for sure.
I think as long as you put it into context and stuff, if you have the context going into it, I mean, not everyone finds the same things funny and stuff too. Some things you got to take real serious, and sometimes you got to be a little bit more lighthearted about things.
I guess I just prefer my Mel Brooks, like I had mentioned earlier. You know,
Complete satire.
I know 100% that Blazing Saddles, even though it could never be made today, no way, is 100% satire. I know they're making fun of those stereotypes. There is no questions asked. I watched Vacation and I'm like, man, are they making fun of the stereotypes or aren't they? Now, as someone who watches a lot of movies, I can say yes. But if you're just someone who's like catching the occasional film and someone told you, hey, you should check out Vacation. Everyone loves Vacation. Oh boy, I can see some confusion.
Definitely a movie of its times and stuff. Randall, I want to know what you guys think about Vacation. Let us know in the comments below. If you like this review, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified when we do our other movies. Our reviews, I should say. Not just movies, we also do television as well, too. Also, keep update on our social media page. We will let you know the day before what the next one is going to be coming out. For now, I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone later.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.